Hello and welcome to another edition of the Balls to the Wall podcast, the podcast bringing you all things Mzansi football and beyond.
Phakathi!
I'm here as usual with the Buccaneers team. Hello, Tsepo and Sualengwe.
Itahola Chonti.
Good day, Mr. Sibongiseni Gumbi.
Yeah, well, yes, that's me. Excited. It's Soweto Derby weekend.
Oh, he's excited. These two have just been at Naturena. They'll give us the latest news from the Chiefs village, I'm sure, in due course. I'm John T. Mark, Pakati editor. We are here to discuss this week's football and the football coming up. Of course, the big game is the Nedbank Cup semi-final on Saturday at F&B Stadium. But I just want to start with the news coming in yesterday, that the Nedbank Cup final will be hosted not at the Moses Madiba Stadium in Durban, as seems to be every year, but at Loftus Stadium in Pretoria. Guys, did that catch you by surprise? Caught me by surprise. I thought all finals went to Durban these days.
Yeah, it was a surprise, especially for Loftus. One would have thought maybe Polokwane, Rustenburg, would get it if not Durban or even Cape Town. But they've brought it back to Gauteng and let's see. I don't want to say something controversial, but that stadium will at least fill up with people who have paid this time around.
What? Are you suggesting stadiums in the past have been filled up with busloads of sponsors' invites?
Of yellow jerseys. You wear a yellow jersey and you get in for free. But this time around, it's going to be filled with people who've paid to be there.
I was a bit surprised as well, but after today's press at Kaizer Chiefs with Banyazali Sufi, the Gauteng Premier, he spoke about how the province has been, neglecting to host such big events, and they made a bid to the PSL, for them to host the Nedbank Cup final, and he spoke about, how they want to, continue hosting, big events, sports events in the province. So it's all about, the Gauteng government, trying to bring back that sporting vibe in the province and hosting these big events such as the Nedbank Cup.
Yeah, I guess also because Sundowns didn't make it to a final. There's a chance maybe that influenced their decision. I don't know. Would the final have been played at Loftus, Sundowns' home ground, effectively, if Sundowns had made it? I have my doubts, but maybe they would have played there anyway. That would have caused some controversy, no doubt, for whoever was going to play Sundowns.
The venue is only unfair, though, only to Stellenbosch if they make it to the final, because the Sekhukhune are based here anyway, so they only go to play in Polokwane. So for the other three teams, it's a home game for any of them. But if Stellies make it to the final, which I believe they will, then it's going to be a bit of a disadvantage for them because it's too far out for their supporters from Cape Town to.
I mean, look at what happened during the MTN 8. I mean, Amazulu were playing in their home ground when we played against the Pirates in the MTN 8 final. So I don't think it's just such a big deal. I mean, after all, it's just a ground.
Yeah, no, I get that. Like the draw and all that.
And it's better that they announce these venues before even the semi-finals.
I think before the semi-finals will be perfect.
Before you get even to the final, you know where it's going, you know where you're going to play.
No, sure, and either way, it's good that it's not at the Moses Mabhida. I mean, you can't give every final to the Moses Mabhida Stadium, with respect. It's a lovely stadium, but every final there.
And then talking about that stadium, I've heard rumors that it's beginning to, crumble.
Interesting.
I'm just following that story up, so people must look out for it. I'm just following it up just to try and see, because I've heard that could be the reason why they were not even considered this time around, and it might even not be passed for next season for the games. So
because that was one of the flagship World Cup stadiums.
So it's very disappointing. If that is true, that would be very disappointing.
Architecturally, it's my favourite stadium that they built. Excuse me. It's architecturally my favourite stadium that they built. Right, let's move to the actual action on the pitch. This week we saw Kaizer Chiefs flunk their chance to have any real chance, let's be honest, of making it into second place and into the Champions League next season. Arthur Zwane's men lost 2-1 at Swallows. Arthur Zwane was not very kind about his players after the match. Swallows, Bongani Sam getting the winner for Swallows. There's Bongaseni, you watched that game. Chiefs running out of a bit of steam at the end of the league campaign. But yeah, their one chance now surely is Saturday and beating Pirates and going on and lifting the Nedbank Cup.
Yeah, I think it always happens with Chiefs. Whenever they're going to play Pirates, they just lose it in other games, because even against Chippa, they could have easily lost that game, because you could see their performance was underwhelming. It wasn't the performance that we have come to see from the Chiefs players, And my reasoning there was that maybe because Dolly is not there, because we know he carries the team, he tries to get the other guys to go. And so if that is the case, then it's a worry for me going to the derby, because that means then they'll still not be inspired, because Chippa, they didn't play well. They won, luckily for them, but at Swallows again, Swallows were not there. They were just staying back and trying to play from the back, and Chiefs were just not taking any initiative in that game. So it was going towards being a boring game, and it was saved by the goals. But after that, nothing really happened in that game, and you don't want that, especially if you're a coach, because you want your players to go into the next game with the confidence, inspired, having played well in the previous game. But maybe it's their tactic that they want Pirates to believe that they run out of steam, and then come Saturday, then they do them again.
Well, we know that Chiefs have done to the Pirates in the derby, even when it's looked like Chiefs are nowhere. So you can't really read anything into that too much anyway, Tsepo. Itumeleng Kune back in goal for Chiefs. What did you make of that? And also, Pirates now in full control, really, it looks like, especially after SuperSport drew last night. Pirates in full control of that race for second place.
Yeah, it's all on their hands right now. I think I've said this, about a couple of weeks ago, because Pirates already had about 2 games in hand, and they were level on points with SuperSport. But right now, again, being level on games, we still have a game in hand. We're playing against. We're playing Royal AM, and I'm sure, going to that game, we will make sure that they win, so that they can, add to their points tally. And the way I see it, I think, the Caf Champions Sport, the runners-up sport, it's all theirs. And I think that's what a lot of people want. And for me personally, I think that's what I want as well, because I've seen, the eagerness that comes from the Orlando Pirates players and the coaches, and, the way they want to play in continental football. They want to play it with all, their hearts. They want to make sure that we represent the country again in the continent. So for me, I would like to see them, getting that runners-up sport and going to play in the Caf Champions League.
Yeah, certainly their history is of making more of an effort in the Champions League than other teams. Kaizer Chiefs to be specific, although of course Kaizer Chiefs more recently did get to the final under Gavin Hunt and then under Arthur Zwane and Dylan Shepherd. But Chiefs, it looks very bleak. If, by the time you listen to this, if you don't listen today, which is, if you don't listen today, which is Wednesday, or at least until this evening, it could well be all over by tonight. If Pirates have beaten Royal AM, it's good night Kaizer Chiefs. It's probably all but good night SuperSport as well, frankly. Remember that SuperSport and Chiefs still have to play each other, so someone's going to get knocked as well. Someone's going to drop points, or both teams are going to drop points. So Pirates are looking pretty good in that position, and they're on a great run of, how many wins in a row? Is it 6 games? 6 league wins in a row? 7 in total?
7 in total, yeah. Which
so
is very good.
They keep winning game after game. Jose Riveiro seems to be doing a pretty good job in his first season at Pirates. They've won the MTN8. They're looking like they're going to sew up second. They could win the Nedbank Cup. Let's move now to the Nedbank Cup, the big semi-final on Saturday. You've got Chiefs, again, coming off the back of that poor result. You've got Pirates on a roll, as we've mentioned. But again, the derby form just flies out the window, and whoever is there on the day wins it on the day. Should have a good packed FNB Stadium. It should be an excellent game. What do you think, Sibongiseni?
I think it's going to be a good derby. We've watched the derby. Chiefs have won the last 5. But the performances on the day left you thinking, because the last one especially, I left there. Even my report, if you remember, I said, Sundowns will probably not have competition if that is the level that these two clubs are at, but because they play like they are playing not to lose, and not more to win, but not to lose. Just as long as we don't lose this derby, then we're fine. But this one they can't play for that because one has to win. There's no draw. Either way, someone must win. So it's gonna be exciting because of that. Because none will sit back and say, okay, we'll try catch them on a break. If it doesn't work, then we'll settle for the draw. No, they have to go all out and and then do it because there'll be a winner at the end of the day.
So, Bo, do you think there's a bit of an onus on Pirates to grab this game by the balls, if you want to use quite a crude analogy? But I mean, Pirates have lost the derbies to Chiefs in the league this year. They just, they're winning every game except, Riveiro's perhaps one problem, apart from obviously catching Sundowns, is that he can't win the derby. Do you think, that there's something Pirates can do in this game specifically that they haven't done in previous derbies to beat Chiefs?
I mean, already, he spoke about, going to this game and Chiefs must expect, a different Pirates, because, I mean, we've seen that Temiko Siloch has been missing, for about 2 games now. He got a knock, sometime at training, but right now he's fully fit. He's ready for the game. The likes of Terence Zugamanja right now, are performing very well. He's scoring goals. We saw, Paseka Marco playing alongside, Tabiso Manyani on the wing backs, So, there's this thing that Coach Jose likes to say. He likes to say he doesn't like to rotate, his team. But if you look at, his lineups, most of the games, there's a lot of rotation in the team, and he still manages to find a balance. And I think going to this game, there's going to be a lot of changes, especially with the fact, again, that Miguel team has been suspended for this match. So we are likely to see the likes of Makaula probably playing with Monari on the middle of the park. So obviously, this is something going to be different that Chiefs is going to face, going ahead of this game in this match. So again, he wants to prove. He wants to prove himself a lot. I think he has done well. I think he has proved himself, on my personal view. But he still wants to prove himself, especially with the fact that he hasn't won a game against Kaizer Chiefs. And for the fact that this is a cup final, this is a big game, and he still wants more success. I mean, yes, he won the MTN 8, but he wants to add another trophy so that people should stop actually calling him a plumber.
I think he's established that he's not a plumber. He's clearly a very good coach who's done a good job.
And the good thing about him is that he's got Pirates playing the Pirates way. Those players they are free. You can see
very relaxed.
They are very relaxed. They are sure what they are doing. They are not at that level of Sundowns yet, but you can see it's heading there. It's going that way. They play with so much confidence. They are short in their display. And I think for him, he needs to win this derby. And if he wins 2 cups this season, then he's made. He's going to have more freedom next season with the fans not pestering him and not questioning him, because he's going to have won them over with 2 cups. So let's wait and see. But also for Atazwane, he also needs it for that same reason.
Exactly, yeah.
He can have that, freedom next season to say, okay, you wanted a cup, I brought a cup, so now let me do my job the way I see fit.
Yeah, I think Riveiro obviously has also won the MTN 8, so he's already got a cup to show off. Zwane and Chiefs, that's a long, well-told story of however many years, 7, 8 years without a trophy now. They really need a trophy to get anything out of this season. But we'll have to wait and see what happens in that one. The other semi-final, Stellenbosch are taking on Sekhukhune. Stellenbosch, as we mentioned, with that goalless draw against SuperSport, although they weren't allowed, if I'm not wrong, to play Ikram Reyners in that game, and he's been in fine goal-scoring form as part of the deal that took Reyners to Stellies from SuperSport. Stellies weren't allowed to play Reyners against SuperSport, which all sounds a bit absurd, but that's the situation, and Reyners will be back for this one. Sekhukhune losing 2-0 to Amazulu. Brandon Truter had plenty to say about Amazulu and their drinking culture after that one, although his side did lose.
Don't say that. You might get a letter of demand to retract.
Well, it's just what Truter said. That's not what I'm saying. But that game could be quite tight. Stellenbosch will probably think that they'll get their scoring mojo back. They've been in free flow with Reyners in the team, so they'll probably think with Reyners back, everything will click a bit better. SuperSport are quite a strong
and they
team
rested
defensively.
a lot of their regular performers in that game yesterday, you know. And what I noticed, and that augurs well for Steve Barker, is that even if he loses all these big players now, he's got players who are capable, because they really took the fight to SuperSport United. They did really well. You could not see that the likes of Mtetwa were not there, Mendieta was not there, Ikram Reyners was not there, you know, and even Devon Titus was not there, you know. But they played really well, you know. They held SuperSport toe to toe, and and so with them coming back for Sunday, I think that will be the more exciting semi-final for me. That Stelli's team can play when they want to.
Look, I mean, Chiefs Pirates games can be rather dour. We hope that's not the case, but no, Stelli's, with all the goals they've scored, they certainly want the team to watch at the moment on the table in the league. Rayner's form recently, unbelievable. It's very rare that you see a striker in the PSL scoring at this rate that he's scoring at the moment. What do you think Steve Barker's done right with that team in terms of, obviously he's been there a while. He's one of the more long-standing coaches in the top flight, so that's probably helped in terms of stability at Stellenbosch. But what do you think he's done right this season?
I think that's one of the major factors that has done, Stelli's a really, balanced team, very, a team that is full with, youth players. A lot of those players are teenagers. Jonty spoke about, them playing in the national under 20, the national under 17, and to be honest, I think if the likes of Mendieta and Reyners were there in the SuperSport game, they could have beaten SuperSport. Prior to that game, they won 5-2. Reyners against Going a Brace. So, there's just this thing that Steve Barker has with his players, and he believes in them so much, he gives them with confidence, and I think that's what is really helping the team, because even the young stars, when we come to play, when we play, they are confident. We're not scared of playing. We are not scared of expressing themselves, and I think that's what works very well for them, because we are very competitive, and going into the game, into the Nedbank Cup semi-final right now. I think it's going to be, at first I thought maybe Sekhukhune might give them, a run for their money because of, the experience that we have in the Sekhukhune squad. But looking at the past two games, past Stelli's 2 games, I really don't see Sekhukhune standing a chance in this one.
And Steve Barker is why we say we need local coaches in our football. If you look at the football he played with University of Pretoria, it was different from what he's using at Stelli's, because he knows the culture of the players. He knows the kind of players that he had at Pretoria, University of Pretoria, are different to the players that he has there. Cape Town players like to use speed more, as you see at Kaizer Chiefs, even now, Ashley Dupree there. He relies on his speed more. So that's what he's doing at Stelli's. Yes, he's got the 1 or 2 midfielders who can hold the ball, but they run with the ball. Those players like to run, and that's how they beat teams. And, he's adapted to that. He did not say, this is my team, you play my way, but he knows how they play. So he's come up with a playing system that suits them, So that's why I'm saying that he's the epitome of what we want when you say we want South African coaches.
Yeah, that's certainly a side playing exciting, attacking football, driven by also, I think, a tribute to Oshwin Andries, the young player murdered so tragically. And, I think if you were to say which team, or if I was to say which team does my heart want to win the Nedbank Cup this year, it would probably be Stellenbosch, simply because of, all they've been through and the fact that they have had so much success and are playing such nice football under Steve Barker. Sekhukhune, I do think, can't be ruled out. They were on a 6 or 7 game unbeaten run before they lost to AmaZulu. Brandon Truter was insistent his team had played better than his opponents, but they lost 2-0, so that's perhaps a bit of sour grapes. And of course his past with AmaZulu. Do you think Brandon Truter, and he's a wily coach, Brandon Truter, do you think he can set something up to perhaps cause Stellenbosch problems?
I think what he lacks, he's a good coach. He does have a system in place, but I think he needs maybe to have someone in the team who will motivate the players. I think that's where he lacks, because if you look at all the teams he's been at, he doesn't play badly, but they just don't have that winning mentality. It lacks that spark that just players want to win. Because against Amazulu they were playing well, but the difference was that Amazulu players wanted to win the game. They just wanted to win the game, maybe to prove a point to him or whatever, but they wanted to win the game, and that's what worked for them. But his team, yes, they were playing well and better than Amazulu in terms of possession and the playing system, but they just didn't look like they wanted to win. And I think that will also affect him in that semi-final. That's why maybe at Swallows he had so many draws, because he just lacks that, that final push for the win. They just don't inspire you to say, okay, this team wants to win. They just play as if it's just a league game that they can draw. They don't care, but they've made it this far, so let's hope that they are inspired to try and win it, because they are a new club. They'd want to make a name for themselves by winning it.
We should give him credit for the fact that he has done very well with Skukuni. Yes, prior to the game against Amazulu, they were on a good run. But again, like I said, looking at them the way we played. That killer instinct is something that, Spo's talking about, that's lacking in that team. And, with the experience that they have, there's potential that they could do damage to Stellenbosch. But again, like I said, looking at the way Stellis has been playing in the past two games, I think this is going to be their path to the final. And I think we're going to beat Kukuni, convincingly.
Okay. Stellenbosch to win convincingly. Both guys seem to think that Stellenbosch will win that one. If I was to put you on the spot and ask you who's going to win the derby?
For me, it will be Pirates. I think they are better equipped. They've had a slow run in this cup against lower division sides. But they seem to know how to win these cup games. They just know how to win them. In terms of playing them, I'm not sure. They don't play well, but they win them. They did it with the MTN 8. So I think they will win this one. But it will not be a big margin, but maybe a 2-1, 1-0. Yeah.
Okay, Seppo?
Pirates has done well coming this far, because I think they really had it tough and they managed to grind out results, to get into the semi-final. Of course, coming against Kaizer Chiefs is going to be a whole different ball game. Chiefs are under pressure, to get that trophy. And this makes for an entertaining affair, between these two sides. So if I was going to choose the winner, I would say Chiefs would win this one.
Chiefs.
1-0.
Controversy from our Orlando Pirates correspondent, who is going to be banned from attending Pirates training in the near future, no doubt, after that prediction. Just to finish off, I wrote a story today about Amazulu. We've had plenty on it in our Amakhosi section as well. But what is going on there, guys, was to fill you in if you've been living under a rock. Basically, Amazulu's former communications manager came out and accused Amazulu of having a drinking culture. Brandon Truter then backed that up, saying there was a drinking problem at Amazulu after his team had lost to Amazulu. And then there was an interview this week in the DStv Times with Benny McCarthy saying this was on a bit of a different tack. He seemed to be having a go at both Cape Town City and Amazulu, saying that they simply want mediocrity. That's why they let him go, because they were put off by his star quality in some way or another. It seems like the week in which anyone who's anyone, maybe that'll change when Amazulu play Sundowns this evening, if they beat them. But anyone who's anyone can have a pot shot at Amazulu. Is there, in your mind, is there truth to some of these allegations? And do you think there's something that Amazulu do have to answer for?
Yeah, we've also had things, and obviously you'd expect them. They have brought in some players with questionable characters, We know for a fact that Dumsani Zuma was fired at Kaizer Chiefs for such things, He was caught by the police during the lockdown era, and, and also Kabadino Mahango from Pirates, we know he has had stories about him, things like that. And, so, it was sort of expected that it would happen at some point, but you were hoping that these players would mend their ways, because this is like a final chance for them, because after this, who's going to take them? And I understand their coach, Anders Lamin, when he says he has to protect them, because he's got youngsters, they will still want to go far. And we've heard that even those youngsters, some of them are also into this thing now, which is wrong. So I hope that the management there, yes, they need maybe to take legal action against those who have come out in the open and brought that to light. But they also need to take it as a wake-up call to try and address this issue, if it's there, because it can't be that Phumlani was lying, and then Truta had no business to lie. And he said he had to deal with it. It was one of the challenges he had to deal with when he was coach there. The players would arrive at training under the influence. So the management should not be focusing on why are you saying this, but rather fix the problems if they want their club to be successful, because you can't have players who do that. Just chase them out, because it's not going to work. Because if it was the first time, if it's a first-time offender, then we understand, okay, then maybe you can give them another chance. But if it's the same players, I'm not saying it's them, but if it's the same players who've had the same problems elsewhere, then just cut them loose and just forget about them and build the team around people who want to play football. Those who want to enjoy their drink should find other jobs, or they could come and join us here.
If you want to drink, become a journalist. Anyway, although you might not be able to afford too many beers. That's what I'm saying.
But the truth is, like, I think this is something that happens at every team. I mean, every team has, at some point dealt with, or came across such situation. We've seen it. It has happened a lot of times over the years. I mean, like, you should remember, I think a couple of months ago, there was even, allegations regarding, Andile Jali and Sipumbuli at Sundowns, There were stories about alcohol abuse and all that. I mean, even ex-players, when we get interviews right now, we speak about, players coming to training, drunk and all of that. So this is something that has to be, dealt internally, in the clubs. There should be, proper, strict measures, taken by the clubs, strict fines and suspensions. Because, I mean, at the end of the day, these players need to, remember that they are professionals, this is their careers. And I mean, like, come on, you are an athlete. You can't come to training drunk. Come on.
Just imagine Messi has been suspended at PSG. For having gone on his day off, gone somewhere else.
It's because he went to Saudi Arabia.
Without the club proving. In South Africa, we let players get away with coming to training drunk and we sweep it under the carpet.
So that seems...
I think that's a problem.
And we expect the same clubs to chase Mamelodi Sundowns. At Sundowns, that nonsense is not tolerated.
Yeah, I mean, that seems more, or was at Sundowns. It seems to have been stamped out now. I do think there was a bit of a drinking culture.
The two that you just mentioned now were suspended because of the same thing. They know that the consequences will be harsh. And you say you are building a club that you want to challenge Sundowns, yet you sweep such things under the carpet, then forget it. You are just playing games. And
I agree, because also, what you said there is true. You can either decide to shout about suing people and things like that, but you've got to deal internally with what the problem is. We're not saying this problem is exclusive to AmaZulu. It's certainly not. But you've got to take responsibility for what's going on at your club. Maybe work at not bringing in players with that reputation. And it's a problem that I think is rife in South African football, and I think it's something that needs to be addressed in South Africa on a social level, certainly. So
and just to mention again,
it goes beyond that. But AmaZulu needs to take more responsibility, I think, for the situation.
Just to mention again, there's the recent reports with Kanyiso Zungi again, which has been the allegations again that he's been coming to training drunk and all of that. So you see, this is not something that is only happening at one team, but the whole PSL clubs. Even in the NFD.
And you must commend Richards Bay for having dealt with it. He just cut his contract there and then said, you can't tolerate this because apparently he was also fighting with other players. When he gets intoxicated, he would become physically aggressive, and when they tell him, no, don't come to training today, we see your situation, just make up a story and not come to training. And he would fight them for that and want to go to training and, bully everyone there, So they had to. They acted decisively on that.
And
Amazulu
we
should be
yeah,
doing
sure.
the same thing, and you know.
Okay, yeah. I think that's an issue you could talk about for a long time, the influence of alcohol on South African football. You could do an hour-long podcast on that, but we're going to have to finish off. Thank you to Sibongiseni and Seppo, as usual, for coming in and giving their insightful views on the game, on the games coming up. Let's hope there's a trouble-free and exciting derby on Saturday, albeit that derbies aren't always exciting. And good luck to all the teams playing in the Nedbank Cup semi-finals this weekend.
Soweto derbies, that is, John T. Put a disclaimer there, don't say derbies.
Sorry.
People will tell you that the El Clasico is always
Soweto
classic.
derbies, sorry, yeah. I hope it was implied, but yeah. No, Soweto derbies to be specific. Don't forget to like us on Facebook at Pakati with 3 A's. Follow us on Twitter at Pakati with 3 A's, and do get your copy of the Pakati Supplement free when you buy the Citizen newspaper every Tuesday. Thank you, and we'll see you next time.
And please don't support Chelsea.
Oh.